Tomorrow marks 45 years since the break-in at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. 5 men were caught trying to bug the offices of the Democratic National Committee. This led to an investigation which ultimately led back to the White House and President Richard Nixon. Nixon denied the allegations, but ultimately resigned from the White House before he could be impeached. It is a scandal that rocked the entire country, and its effects are still being felt today. Well, this morning we are joined by Philip Cooper. He's a professor of public administration at Portland State University. Thank you very much for being here, Dr. Cooper.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, tell us how Watergate affected this nation.
Well, it affected the nation in many ways, but right now, one of the most important ways that we see is a tension between the institutions of government, where the Congress, after Watergate, decided that it was going to do some oversight and pay attention, as did the courts. And then we've also seen some presidents respond by deciding that they wanted to take what they thought was authority that they shouldn't have lost in the first place. Mr. Bush is an example. We're seeing right now a discussion about where that stands.
Well, a lot of people are now comparing Watergate to what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now. Is that a fair comparison, and what similarities do you see?
Well, there's some big differences, but there are also some similarities. And of course, with Watergate, as you pointed out, we started with a criminal investigation and criminal charges, which, by the way, brought the courts into it right away, and Judge John Sirica became an important player in the discussions in the first year. And then it later became the case that we saw covert operations were a part of the process. Here we started with an intelligence investigation and then ended up moving toward criminal investigation. But in both cases, you've had independent investigators and you've got a situation in which Congress has decided it has to take a hard look.
Do you think that, depending upon how the investigation goes into the Russian meddling and also the potential obstruction of justice involving President Trump, are we getting into that area right now? Are we getting into Watergate-style political difficulties?
Well, the irony is that some of the language that's being used by the White House isn't helping, and it's making that comparison look more apt every day. Certainly things like attacking the media, which we saw in the early going, certainly things like challenging investigators, certainly things like saying that the administration didn't want to provide information of various kinds to support investigations just adds to that kind of intensity.
And looking at the level of technology that we have these days, that's making a big difference in this political debate as well, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if Mr. Nixon ever would have used Twitter. But we can certainly say that the president's continuing commentary in social media is actually, of course, intensifying the desire by various people to find out what's going on.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Cooper from Portland State University. We'll be right back.